defined by the clothing, of course, parkas for the mods, leathers for the rockers, also defined by forms of transportation. For the rockers, BSA Norton maybe. For the mods, Vespa Lambretta. Actually, there was a third line of people, because it wasn't just two ways. It wasn't just bipartisan, was it? It was three ways, definitely, because Anna just reminded me that back in the 60s she was neither. She was very disdainful of both. Anna was a beatnik. Anna was a beatnik in those days, wore black tights, stripy sweater. Used to go to the beatnik clubs and listen to jazz. So in a little while from now, we'll go back to that era of mods and rockers and talk to somebody, hopefully, who has kept the whole thing alive. To him, it is still the 60s and 70s, and he will not be moved. That's on the way this morning, hopefully. But first of all, let's hear one of those mod anthems, shall we? This would have been big in the 60s. Small Faces. Small Faces on BBC Radio Wiltshire and Itchy Coo Park. An anthem from the 60s and the 70s, when we could have been a mod or a rocker, or even, just like Anna, a beatnik. How are you, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Now, how old are you, Dell?
I'm actually a ripe old age of 47.
You're 47? Let me just do a little calculation. So you'd have been around in the tail end of the, mods and rocker era, wouldn't you?
Well, my sister was actually a mod in the 60s. Well, I think she was a bit like you. I think she was sort of a bit of a mocker. She was torn between rocker and mod, so depending which boyfriend she went out with at the time. But I actually came in at the start of the mod revival in 1980, 79-80.
Now, you are a DJ known as DJ Dell, and you live in the Chippenham area.
I do, yeah.
And I think this year, it's Lambretta that celebrates 70 years, doesn't it? Lambretta, the icon.
Yeah.
If you want a Vespa person, you were definitely a Lambretta person. Mm-hmm. The great icon of the mod culture. Now, you've got to tell me, what is so special about that mod thing?
Well, what you're talking about, the scooters or the actual culture itself?
Well, the whole culture of which, scooters were a part of. We'll go through the whole thing, shall we?
I think, basically the 60s was a cool era, and I think people always sort of hark back to it because of the clothes and obviously the music and the scooters. The scooters came in because mods wanted something to ride around on, and they didn't want motorbikes because they were dirty and horrible, and they didn't want to get oil on their nice suits. So the scooter was like a classic Italian design. It was clean, and it just sort of came into that way, really.
Now, suits in those days were kind of mohair and a little bit shiny, weren't they?
Yes, yeah, tonic mohair, 3-button. Fashion changed from week to week. The faces actually kept it going, and we was on Ready, Steady, Go, and people copied it.
So in that early mod day, it would have been Small Faces, it would have been people like that, and also a lot of soul, a lot of Motown.
Yeah, the mod came in sort of late 50s. A lot of people don't realise that, through Jewish people, and their dads were tailors, so they used to make him nice suits, and they got into the jazz, and it was sort of like modern jazz or trad jazz. And the actual modern mod comes from the word modern jazz, just abbreviated. And yeah, it was sort of like obscure black music was the main thing at the start, soul or ska as well.
Now, it's amazing, isn't it, how that culture has lasted, and the music has lasted too. So how come you're still full of it, and you've got your own radio station too, internet radio station?
Well, I do a show on Mod Radio UK on the internet, and I do a daily show for them. But basically, I think if you get into it properly, which I did, and it just becomes, I know this is corny, and probably think it's very corny, but it does tend to be a way of life, and people actually come back to it because they're ingrained. So, obviously, some people just get in for the fashion element and they disappear, but a lot of people do get back into it because it's the style and the music and everything, and it's very hard to get away from once you're into it.
Yeah, it's a whole culture and it's a whole way of life, isn't it? Dress, transportation, music, everything, pervades everything.
It's very diverse. It's a very diverse scene. Musically, you can go from the 60s, anything cool in the 60s, right up to, Britpop, and to some of the kind of the indie bands like the Ordinary Boys and and stuff like that.
Do you think it's catching new followers?
Yes, I've got a page on MySpace, and I get loads of requests every day. We have a forum, We Are the Mods, and I think it's got about something like 4,000 members, and it's from all over the world as well. It's not just the UK. You get people from like Brazil and Korea and various places like that who were saying, "Oh, I'm a mod," I'm into, which is really bizarre, really. It's,
What about the bust-ups that used to happen at Southend and places like Margate on Bank Holiday Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, that was very much part of the 60s. I mean, a lot of the proper mods actually disassociated them from it, and a lot of the hard element went into skinhead, which is like associated with proper skinheads, and they were sort of the hard mods. But I mean, in the 80s, it was sort of bust-ups between sort of like punks and skinheads, because the actual skinheads were more like punk skinheads, if you know what I mean. People who are there know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much, DJ Dell. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about scooters in just a minute from now, Lambrettas and the big anniversary.
Cool.
Thanks for your time, mate. Take care.
All right.